Now, some people say that karma, like revenge, is a dish best served cold. Now, is Kenya deserving of all that she's getting, or is this some bullshiggity? Let's get into it. So, as I was perusing down these social media streets, I said this is enough for me to want to share some sensibility. All right, let's get into it, shall we?
I did something that I wish I could take back, but what she did was a million times worse. So there's no way you can go around and play the victim now. I mean, I did some things myself that, of course, I'm going to take accountability for that, I should have done. But outside of that, I really had an opportunity to really get to know the ladies.
Then they kept sending me information. That's some nasty work.
You left.
Yeah.
Before this went down. So what was your reaction when you found out what happened?
I couldn't believe it because I came in there wanting to be apologetic and give her flowers. And I gave her a nice card where I wanted her to read it. And I left. And just to know that everybody started screaming and I heard the commotion of everybody like running out of the door. And I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? And Kelly was just like, you'll never believe this woman put poster boards of the most nastiest, vile things ever. I mean, she came from my marriage. She called me, all types of very nasty names. And she showed.
All right, y'all. So the shit hit the fan on Real Housewives of Atlanta. At this juncture, we all know what happened with Kenya and Brit Eady, which leads me to this. So let's talk about karma, which many say, like revenge, is a dish best served cold. Okay? However, who in fact deserves the karma? Let's talk about that. Now, I must admit, I've grown to like Kenya over the last several years because initially I didn't care for girlfriend because she could be a biatch, okay? With her twirling ass, she could be a bitch, right? But I've grown to like her, especially as she's gotten older. And I don't want to say she's become more subdued, but all of the antics and the theatrics and all of the histrionics, I thought have calmed down over the years. In my opinion, she's become more relatable and more likable, okay? Because let's keep it a buck. When she first hit the scene, she was hell on wheels. And she was stunning then, and I think she's gorgeous now. A beautiful woman on the outside, but she seemed to be projecting a bitter persona. She seemed to be really bitter and broken on the inside. And in my opinion, it really permeated on the outside. Because things are created twice. They're created internally and they flow out externally. So if you're broken and bitter and angry and all of that, it's going to show, it's going to spill out. So that being said, I blame her mother for the behavior she displayed at times towards women. And let's face it, Kenya mother wound runs deep. Now, I do believe she's gone through some intensive therapy. If I'm not mistaken, she did say that because that has to be a hell of a void for her to fill because her mother is a piece of work. But I digress. So let's talk about some of the karma that Kenya may be facing, right? So when she first hit the scene, her and Porsha came the same season. I believe it was season 5. Correct me if I'm wrong. But she gave Porsha hell. And in my opinion, I think she was jealous of Porsha on some level. I don't know if it was her youth, her beauty, or whatever. Both beautiful women, but sometimes in some spaces, some people are of the mindset, I got to be the queen bee. I got to be the pretty girl in the room or the pretty woman in the room or whatever. So I think it was some jealousy on Kenya's part toward Porsha. Hell, I mean, we all know what happened, especially for us avid watchers of the show. She called her unintelligent, just plain dumb. She has zero respect for her, okay? Now, I do think Kenya loves a beautiful, smart, and intelligent woman. We've seen some of her friends, and some of her friends are absolutely stunning. So I don't know what it was with Porsha to where she singled her out. Because, honey, that dragon that Porsha gave her during that reunion between that damn bullhorn that Kenya kept yelling at her and kept over-talking her, and she's very condescending toward Porsha. She was antagonizing the hell out of her. And with that scepter that she kept reaching over Cynthia's dingy ass to get to Porsha. And she said, you wave that thing one more time, I'm going to whip your ass. And she drug her ass, let's face it, right? But anyway, I digress. So that could be a little piece of karma when it comes to her and Porsha. Now, let's talk about that. Now, let's talk about her and Porsha. Now, I won't say that the girls are fighting, but I don't think they're on the best of terms. Now, we know that Porsha has her YouTube channel, okay? And she's funny as hell, very hilarious. She's quite the character, right? And so, now, according to Porsha, she says there is a housewife still on the show that gave that photo to Kenya, that new photo, okay?
There is a housewife still on the show right now who gave Kenya that nude information. No, I'm going to expose that. Everybody needs to know who she is. That was crazy to me. And I said, y'all know something about Charles. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Just playing with her. But I guess I'm a good actress or hit a sore spot. There was a lot of going back and forth at the table. And at that point, Kenya says, peasant. She picks up what looked like a damn serving spoon and start hitting her damn glass like this. Attention, attention. Attention what, girl? What? Let's sip on that. Put a pin in that, too.
Now, according to Kenya, she said absolutely no one on the show gave her anything. Stop using my situation for clickbait, okay? And so this was all in the blogs, I believe on Twitter. Now, Porsha responded, that's a lie. She said, we talk day and night. And I personally went to the network and production and fought for you before you showed her underage explicit pics. And I believe she's trying to say, she wrote this funny. She said, and I also went after her as well because I was hurt you had to leave. She said, I checked on you because I cared and care. So I guess cared past tense and still currently cared. She said, I'm not your enemy at Kenya. Okay. So she at Kenya with that. So seems like to me she's trying to do a roundabout kick. Is she trying to imply that Angela gave the photo? Because then there's something else about this other Ming Lee lady. And I'm going to look at that in just a second. Okay. However, I will say this. I saw something on IG where this lady said that if you are friends with a woman or you met a woman and they say something to the effect, you know, I didn't know if I would like you or I didn't like you when I first met you, but after I've gotten to know you, I now like you. And according to that particular post, she said they didn't like your ass then and they don't like you now. So saying that to say, and it was just interesting, the comments on that particular post, meaning that whatever the underlying jealousy, hate, or whatever misgivings a person may have had for you, real or imagined, just because they've gotten to know you and you're not a bad person like they envisioned you to be, that underlying jealousy could still be there, which brings me to Kenya Moore. Now, I don't know if I'm necessarily buying what they're selling, because remember, this season was supposed to be them two being like powerhouses, right? Them getting along and them being two it girls, okay? They were willing to share that spotlight to be like the head bitches in charge, so to speak. So even though I do feel like whatever it is that Kenya felt toward Porsha, from 1 to 10, it might be shit. I don't know. a 5. It came down quite a bit. But do I feel like she's a huge fan of Porsha? No. But do I feel like she tolerates her and likes her on that level? She may like her more. But whatever that underlying, whatever bullshit you had with her, I don't think it completely disappeared. It may have dissipated some, but I don't know. In the right circumstances, that shit can come back up. I don't know. But it's called growth. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, right? So let's move along. So speaking of karma and revenge being a dish best served cold, now let's see who else has Kenya out with. Let's see. Okay, so I'll make this quick. So remember, Kenya flirted with a very married Apollo, knowing damn well he was married to Phaedra back then during those seasons. What was it, 6, 7? Can't remember. And I'm not going to lie, and I'm not even going to hold you. I feel like they had a lot of sexual chemistry and tension between the two of them. And I believe they had a physical attraction, okay? It was readily apparent. It was sizzling through the screen. She flirted with him. He flirted with her all in front of Phaedra. Remember, they were at that poolside scene where he picked Kenya up and threw her in the pool and all that. Honey, that was too much physical contact. Them bickering and bantering playfully back and forth, all in front of Phaedra, child. But anyway, we know how that turned out. We know Apollo is a piece of you know what. And we know that he did lie on Kenya about her reaching out to him. And according to him, he saw her in a hotel in LA, wherever the hell they said they were, or he alleged that they were. But anyway, it turned out that he lied because he was pissed at her. But that doesn't negate the fact that she came on camera, and when she first saw Apollo, she was like, Apollo's kind of fine, okay? Because that shit was on camera in the confessional during that season. You like that lady's husband. Yes, you did. Anyway, so that's one reason that Kenya could be catching karma now. I'm just saying. So let's not forget about poor Kim Fields. She harassed the hell out of Kim Fields. Kim Fields did nothing to her, okay? She was very unproblematic. And remember, I think Cynthia had some type of ad campaign, and she was getting Kenya and Kim Fields to both pitch some commercial ideas. And I think that Kim Fields actually had a better concept, and she was able to do the commercial, whatever, the advertisement, whatever the case may be. Because we know that Kim Fields is a producer. She's been in the industry for years, so she has that experience. Kenya was jealous. She was mad. Anybody who comes on the show who has some type of, what is it, SAG or whatever you call it, part of the Actors Guild or whatever like that, Kenya gonna have a problem with it because I guess her acting career, it wasn't as flourishing as she wanted it to be. So anyway, she wants to be the damn actress of the show. But anyway, remember that scene, they were all at the table. Nene was still there. They were somewhere. I can't remember if Claudia was on that season. Can't remember. But whatever the case, Kenya was picking at Kim Fields. She took her chair. She tried to pull it from up under her. It was just a whole mess. Just a mess. Okay? And she caught hell from the viewers. And everybody just ripped into her because they said she was bullying that girl. And she had to end up apologizing, right? And I think, I don't know, somebody on the show was coming for Kim Fields' husband saying that he made, go both ways, whatever. But anyway, that's another case that she could be catching her karma. I'm just saying, okay? Remember that particular season when Porsha had her friend Tanya on the show, remember? And Tanya had a whole fiance. Tanya was real sweet, the light-skinned lady, right? And so remember Cookie Lady. Remember Kenya bought Cookie Lady, and allegedly Tanya's fiance had tried to flirt with the Cookie Lady, who's a beautiful woman too. Allegedly he tried to hit on her at a club or something like that at a bar. I don't know how Kenya got wind of it. I think she met the Cookie Lady through Cynthia, but whatever, she bought her on the show, and the lady divulged that information, and that was very nasty. That was nasty work. So that could be karma too. That could be a comeuppance. I'm just saying, right? And let's talk about Marlo. Remember, Marlo had something, I can't remember what type of event she had, but Kenya totally hijacked that poor lady's event with that Kenya Moore hair care. She had the whole drum line, the marching band, they come through. She was giving away samples of her hair care products, just doing the most of whatever, child. And Marlo took it like a champ. She was a sport about it. What could she do? But yeah, Marlo's a trip too. But to get to the point, that's just drama. But Kenya's done a whole lot of shit over the years. But Kenya's an actress too on a level. And I believe she plays the role of a villain. She's a villainess, okay? And I think as she's gotten older, she's like, you know what? I've paid my dues. I've played the bitch, even if I'm a bitch in real life, real, fake, or imagined. Is it real, live, fake, Memorex? I think she's at a chapter in her life. She's a mom now. You know, she's getting older. She don't have to pull all those theatrics and those antics to be on Real Housewives of Atlanta. She can do like Giselle does, keep the storyline going, stir the pot, give a little bit of her life, but she don't have to do the most, right? So I think she's in that era. She's not in the villain era, right? And so let's talk about Brit Eady, who ain't innocent by a damn long shot. And at the end, I'm going to play some clips of her getting interviewed. Child, she's on a whole damn sympathy tour trying to evoke sympathy for some shit she calls, because Kenya never would have came for her if you wouldn't have sent for her. I know that's her tagline and it sounds cliche, but it's the truth, right? So getting to Brit Eady, it's so ironic this particular season. In my opinion, Kenya paid her dust. She paid that lady no mind. She won't thinking about Brit. And Brit had a full heart on for her. She had a laser focus on Kenya. She targeted Kenya because, in my opinion, she kind of boring. She don't have a huge storyline. She just doesn't have any person. To me, she just don't have a lot of personality. And she's not a girl's girl, because one of the initial things that she said in her confessional, she said either women love her or hate her. So to me, she seems male identified, just always wanting male attention. She strikes me as that type, right? Kind of the backstabbing type. She always got issues with women and kind of delusional, thinking everybody jealous of her. And she's a beautiful woman. That's not to say that she don't get some level of hate, but I think some of the shit she may bring on herself because she has a stank attitude. I'm just saying, right? So anyway, I don't know if production put her up to it or was she trying to recreate a narrative? Because as I said before, Kenya used to have it in for Porsha. She was mad that time. And let me go back a little bit. You remember that time, was it Porsha's event? Her and Cordell was having some type of fundraiser. She invited Kenya, right? And had Kenya come on the stage. And Porsha accidentally called her Miss USA, Miss America, whatever her damn title was. Porsha mixed it up, and she thought Porsha did it on purpose, and she really didn't, you know. It's an honest mistake, but she was very apologetic about it. But I think Kenya used that as an excuse to come for her because she ain't like Porsha. No way, because it was some jealousy back then. I don't know necessarily now, but back then, right? Now, this is my opinion. I think Brit was thinking in her mind, I can recreate that similar narrative a little different, that I'm a pretty girl. You know, girls love me or hate me because the way that Kenya was with Porsha, that mean girl or that villain, she wanted to poke the bear and poke the bear with Kenya, thinking that Kenya was going to be jealous of her because she's beautiful, because she's younger, whatever the case may be, whatever she had in her deluded mind, she wanted Kenya to come for her, and Kenya just didn't have that energy, right? Even from the first episode or whatever, when she was showing off her beautiful diamond ring, she was like, oh, well, this is my second ring. And Kenya was like, oh, okay, is this a second marriage, a replacement, whatever? It was confusing. She was like, no, it replaced my first ring. How the hell would somebody know that? You know, who would get two rings that soon? Most people may, what? They may replace their ring or upgrade 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, whatever shit. But how would Kenya have known that? But it was an honest mistake. Hell, the viewers didn't know why you replaced the ring so soon. You upgrade is your business. But anyway, she just used that as an excuse. And even when Angela Oakley had that Black Excellence dinner, when they all was dressed in black, except for Kenya Honey, came in emerald green. She had to shine and stand out. But to get to the point, everybody who came into, I think it was the Vault, the restaurant, when everybody came in, they greeted each other, hugged or whatever. And Kenya hugged everybody. And I thought she gave Brit Eady a hearty hug in comparison to Drew or somebody else who she just kind of did a side kiss to. And it's just like she was putting 20 on 10. She was looking for a reason to try to drum up drama with Kenya because Kenya just wasn't going for it. So they argued at the table. You know, at this point, we know how we got to the point where Kenya has said, you know what, bitch, I done had enough. Because she said, oh, well, you got it in for me. Or you gave me a half-ass hug. Whatever, child, just making up shit. And everybody's like, huh? And even with those damn questions that they had at the table, you know how they have those anonymous questions. And we later found out, I think Angela had actually wrote the anonymous question, Kenya, why do you have it in for Brit? She was like, I don't have any energy toward her, whatever. I see you all the same. I don't treat you any differently. And she just kept coming for her. Well, I don't know what you think this is, just rah rah and just being real, just ghetto and shit, like she on Basketball Wives or like she's on damn Love and Hip Hop, just doing too much. And Kenya says, shit, you're just trying to get a moment, girl. I ain't thinking about your ass, basically. And she was like, I don't have to do that. Da-da-da. She was like, honey, I'm a queen. I am the moment, child. She said, basically, you're a peasant to me. Ooh, why she say that? But to get to the point, she's talking about, oh, I'll whip your ass, and talking about I got pistols and whips, and I can do this and do that. And Kenya, we heard as they were riding off, she's like, child, because she was riding, I believe, with Drew and Porsha. She was like, look, she's a problem. She got to go. And I wish Kenya just would have iced her out and been like, you know what, I ain't filming with this bitch. This bitch is silly. She doing too much. She's not a good fit, because Kenya could have put her foot down and said, you know what, I don't want to film with this hoe. I don't want to deal with her. I don't trust her. She talking about pulling out weapons. She could have really hyped that up, right? But I don't think production cared for Kenya anyway. And I think they were trying to look for a reason to ice her out, get her off the show, whatever the case. I don't think it was Bravo, but I think it was the production company. Not sure. But she gave them the reason for them to sit her down, which is unfortunate, because when we got to the hair care event, beautiful, she had a full house. She had all the things. The ambiance was giving. All the women were there. But for her to take that moment and to get everybody's attention, as opposed to just focusing on the main thing about the grand opening of her hair care spa, whatever, she wanted to embarrass Brit with child when she started showing those damn images, those pictures and all that, even though Brit had actually come in, tried to be apologetic, give her flowers, which was bullshit. Honey, she won't sorry for what the hell she did. Nope. You wanted to comfort that lady, and production or somebody must have said, you know what, you done did too much. You done said too much. You need to apologize, because they knew that Kenya could have played the card of, I don't want to film with this bitch. And she would have been well within her right from an HR standpoint, where somebody talking about pulling out weapons and stuff like that. But Kenya should have went that route, and I wish she would have, as opposed to giving this chick what she wanted. Because, again, now she on a damn apology tour, and I'll let you guys hear that in just a minute. But it was just too much. But saying all that to say, let me get back to where I was. Do you think that Kenya's catching her karma? Do you think she's due this? Here's my thing. It could have went totally different, and she wasn't worth it. And with her showing that revenge pee in those photos, now allegedly they said a photo of her sucking a peen or whatever, that Brittany was underage. I don't know if she was underage or not, but Kenya did too much. She shouldn't have shown that. I would not have wasted my event on that bitch. I just would not have done that on that check. I just wouldn't have done it. And it's so ironic. Remember when Martell was threatening to do that to Melody, even though he didn't show it on the show? He was trying to get the mistress to put it out on the website, even though it was an intimate moment between Melody, Cherie, and him back when they were married. But to get to the point, Kenya actually said on an episode, I think on a reunion, on a Real Housewives reunion last year, she said that Martell's a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. He tried to do revenge pee on his wife. Now, knowing all of this and knowing the ramifications and all the things that come with revenge pee, like, girl, why would you do that? And some people think that Kenya may have thought, hell, it was on the internet anyway, so it ain't like she came up with the shit. It's not like she invented the pictures. She put it out for herself. I don't know if the lady used to do porn or whatever. Not sure, allegedly, not sure. But it's a lot. I just wish Kenya would not have stooped that low. But hey, you can't be fucking with people, poking the bear, effing with people, and you can't tell them how to come back at you. You just can't. Do I think Kenya did a whole lot? Yeah. I wish she would have handled it differently to ice her out, to get her ass off the show that way, as opposed to it doing a boomerang, backfiring, and then she's kicked off the show. And this silly trick's still there, because you got the co-stars now, everybody else on the show who was initially defending Brit, now they don't care for her. Now it seems like her and Porsha are still cool, because if I'm not mistaken, Brit and Porsha, they get along. But I think I saw a comment to where Porsha hearted a comment where somebody said something about what Kenya did was foul or too much or whatever. I don't know, child. It's just a lot. Maybe they're drumming up for a storyline for next season. But if the network does allow Kenya to come back, I think her and Porsha may be at odds, because I don't think Kenya will like how Porsha is handling everything and her reaction to it all. It's just a lot. But I like how Kelly said, hey, I was wrong. And I came to this girl's defense, which, of course, if a woman embarrassing another woman and showing a sexual lewd act, I mean, that's a natural reaction. How everybody walked out of Kenya's salon, her spa, which is unfortunate. But Kelly said, I hate that I defended her.
You brought up Kelly and how she was supporting you, but I found it interesting, her recent Instagram post. I don't know if you saw it.
I saw it.
But she posted photos from that night, including one with Kenya, and then a meme that said defending somebody and then experiencing why nobody likes them is so humbling.
A lot of things that happen that people aren't going to expect from Kelly. She's going to really show a side that nobody saw coming. And I was very disappointed in just seeing her flip-flop. So it's one thing if we're not friends and, you could feel however you feel, but to go back on your word and to say what Kenya did, wasn't wrong, that's just flip-flopping. So just because you don't like me right now does not make what she did right. And I just think Kelly just wanted to insert herself because, it is what it is. Sometimes she has to be the center of attention. And it's just unfortunate that something that was so nasty and vile, now she's in support of. And it's no secret that Kenya isn't here. So how are you still supporting this woman? And you went to war for me during this situation. So if you went to war for me, how can you?
So it turns out that Brit is very divisive. She antagonizes people, allegedly alienates people, and I guess it's going to play out on the show. But anyway, again, do y'all think Kenya deserved this karma? And here's the thing, when karma comes around, it may not be from the individuals that you wronged. It may come from somebody else, okay? Now, in this case, Kenya initially was the aggrieved. Now she turned out to be the aggressor because she retaliated to this chick. But, the karma didn't come from Porsha, Kim Fields, and Marlo and all the other people that she might have did shit to over the years, over the season, Phaedra or whomever. It came from this silly ass chick, right? But anyway, I still ride for Kenya. The network had to do what they had to do. They had to sit her ass down for a minute. Hopefully she has learned from this child. But she do got this whole campaign going with her being silenced with the tape over her mouth. Free Kenya, child. It's a mess. All right, so let's look at some of these clips. Y'all drop that in the comments after y'all see the clips and y'all tell me what y'all think.
Would you film with her again if that was something that came back?
At this moment, today, I would not film with her. But if there was an opportunity for her to grow from this situation genuinely, not just saying what she wants to say for the fans, but if she was genuinely honest and genuinely interested in making things right and to humble herself and come to me and apologize and have that real conversation with me, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. It's not what the fans think. It's not what, behind the scenes with production or Bravo. It's not about them. It's about her and I. And she has not made it right. So that would have to happen for me to be open to a relationship. Yeah.
Would you forgive Kenya if she genuinely said she...
I was a little disappointed in some of the ladies and I thought they would have my back more. I thought they would be more supportive. And I just feel that because she has been around for so long, I think nobody wanted to just step on any toes or just, not have her back. And wrong is wrong. And a lot of these beautiful women, they have a family. And I'm just like, how would you feel if you were put in the situation that I was put in? And that's when I'm just like, let's use logic. Nobody would want to go through what I experienced. And I'm so grateful that I was not in that room when that happened, because that would have been a moment where she was looking to trigger me and she was looking for me to act out. She was not threatened by me, because you don't do something like that if you're threatened. So for her to do that, it was all premeditated. She had no, she was never interested in making things right. She wanted to embarrass me. She wanted to humiliate me. And this was her big moment. So why would you do this at your big moment for someone that you're threatened by? Why? Why would you do that?
Did some of the other ladies, though, rally around you? Because I know, in that moment...
Kelly
okay.
rallied. She left. All the ladies were disappointed. A couple of them stood back, maybe Drew, and I think Angela. No, she did come. But they knew it was wrong, but I felt that they still wanted to support her. And that's what I didn't like. Sometimes you have to stand on business and say, this isn't right, and hold your friends accountable. If someone is really, truly your friend, they're going to tell you when you're wrong. Not sugarcoat it, not pretend like it's okay or she deserved it. No, wrong is wrong. And that's why I was disappointed with some of the ladies that they were just like, well, no, you couldn't imagine being put in that position. And that's why I was just a little hurt by the ladies. And it was a very emotional time for me when I needed everyone's support. And I'm grateful that in that time, Kelly was there for me. Cynthia had my back. Porsha, which was a friend of, well, still a friend of Kenya, she came there and was just like, I couldn't do this. And, you know, it's an unfortunate situation. And I'm so glad that I wasn't there because she wanted to potentially take this opportunity from me. And she was like, see, you should be gone.
All right, y'all, this is Sensibility Speaks. Thanks for stopping by, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye-bye.
My regular, I'm talking.